Today, I just want to take a chance to reflect upon all of the 8+ years that we have spent with the Nintendo Switch, and now the Switch 2 coming up literally in mere days as the time of this video's release. I just wanted to talk to you guys for a few minutes about what it means and the calm before the storm type video. My journey with the Switch is a lot different than a lot of other people's. I was pretty young at the time, around 12 years old, and so I didn't know a whole lot of other Nintendo franchises. I knew a little bit about Smash, a little bit about Zelda, and a whole lot of Mario. I had a DS growing up, a Wii growing up. I had all those consoles. I had a Wii U. I was a huge Wii U fan. I loved all of those things. And then in 2016, I was at a friend's house as my sister was taking like some sort of piano lesson, and I remember seeing the Nintendo Switch reveal trailer for the first time. And like, I understood the idea of what a console was and like the Wii to the Wii U and all that, but I hadn't understood what actually it meant to have a different type of console. I just assumed it was going to be like the Wii 3. In fact, I hadn't really assumed it at all. I didn't think about what a next console could be. I didn't know how badly Nintendo was failing or how many people hated the Wii U. I just knew I loved it and I knew Nintendo. So I saw Nintendo Switch reveal trailer and I click on it and I'm like, what in the world is this? And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like a big DS without a second screen, and you can play it at home, and it's got Mario Kart. And I was so excited. So I absolutely badgered my parents, like, hey, help me like raise some money, like let me do some chores, let me do something, help me, let me buy this console when it comes out, because that was around October, November when I saw that, and I just got absolutely sucked into the hype train. I watched so many videos breaking down every frame of Mario Odyssey and Zelda and just every single thing about this console, and I couldn't wait to see what was going to happen next. But as in tune as I was, I just didn't even know that the Switch presentation was going to happen. Like, I knew that something was going to happen. I knew people were talking about a specific day, but I didn't know when, I didn't know why, I didn't know anything. So all of a sudden, there was one day when I just saw a bunch of people reacting to something and talking about something, and I was like, what in the world? All these Japanese people are just talking on a stage. Who cares about this? And then I realized that all of these trailers were coming from that presentation. The Mario Odyssey trailer, the Breath of the Wild, Splatoon 2, whatever the heck that was, right? I didn't know anything else about all these Nintendo franchises, and Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was there too. Oh my gosh. All these different things that I had no clue about. And so I watched every single trailer. I watched all about it, and I couldn't believe that it was coming in March. I was like, oh, that's too soon. I don't have the money for this yet. And I just begged my parents to keep helping me work and help me pay for it. And my dad finally like broke down and agreed. He goes, okay, if you can get half of the money for this, I will pay for the other half. So I saved up. I had a little money left over from like other stuff I had done in the past, and so I saved up and I got $150, and it was around March when I was looking for it, and I just could not find a Switch. And so every single day I'm watching people play this thing, I'm watching people play Breath of the Wild, and I couldn't be more jealous. I couldn't be more envious. I wanted a Switch in my hands yesterday, and it just wasn't happening. And it took weeks, actual weeks, for me to find this thing. And I am just Googling every single day, every single night, like, in stock, is it in stock? And I'm looking for stuff, and I'm looking for stuff. And one night, it's like a Saturday night in the first week of April, I believe, and we're out to eat, me and my family are, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like calling places because I'm so desperate. I've been calling places every night for like weeks at this point. So I called this Best Buy and I'm like, hey, do y'all have Switches in stock? They were like, yeah, we got a couple. And I was like, hold them for me, please. But the problem was, it was like a 30-40 minute drive away from where we were and away from our house, right? So like it was totally out of the way. And so my parents knew how much I wanted it. They knew how much I had been talking about it and saving up for it. And I finally was able to convince them. I was like, all right, let's go. We're going to go 30 minutes and we're going to go get this thing because I need it. And all of the rest of dinner and the drive there, I couldn't have been more nervous that they were going to give my Switch, the one I earned from calling this Best Buy, away to someone else. And I couldn't have been more stressed out. And we finally got there and we ran inside and I said, you got the goods. And they said, we got you. Fortunately, it wasn't the colored Joy-Con like I had wanted. It was just the gray version. But at that point, I was like, dude, I don't care if it's pink and orange and has like the ugliest stripes on it. I don't care what it looks like. I just want to get it and play with it already. And it was April, like I had mentioned before, and it was right before Mario Kart 8 Deluxe had come out, and that was really what I wanted to look forward to. That was really what I wanted to buy. But it was like 2 weeks out from Mario Kart 8, and I had already waited this long. I wasn't waiting longer to get another game. I was gonna play something. And growing up, I was a little sheltered. My parents were not very open about the idea of me just watching other media or playing different games outside of just Mario and things that they had already known. So to them, like, Zelda was a super foreign concept. And this Best Buy guy, bless his soul, like, was absolutely hammering us like, no, you need Breath of the Wild. You need Breath of the Wild. And I was just like, I'll wait till Mario Kart comes out. But at the same time, I was like, no, I want something to play right now. So I was like, yeah, let's get this. And my mom was like, it's rated T. I don't know if you should get this. And we finally convinced her, me and this Best Buy guy, who, by the way, if not for him, I don't know if I would have ever gotten into Zelda. But this guy, what a G, right? He absolutely, what a legend. He got me to buy Breath of the Wild. He got my parents to buy it. And my dad was like, you broke the deal a little bit because you didn't save enough money for this game, but I'll be nice and buy it for you anyways, because I had only saved $150, which was only enough for the console, and there wasn't any bundle or anything. So he paid fully for the game and for the other half of the Switch, and I couldn't have felt more happy and blessed. So I get in the car and I open it up right there in the back seat, and I am just ripping through this thing, putting it on, and I am setting it up, and I'm so excited, and it's amazing, and it's in my hands. And I remember putting in Breath of the Wild and just seeing that opening cutscene and playing it as loudly as I could throughout the car, and it was so much fun. So for the entire 30-40 minute drive home, I am just playing Breath of the Wild, and I had never played a game even close to anything like this before. Never played a Zelda game, never played anything open world. I didn't understand the concept of games that weren't platformers or racing games. I didn't know that this whole genre even existed, and I didn't know what to do with it. I just didn't understand it. I mean, the Great Plateau was so huge, I just didn't know where to start. And so I finally got home because the battery was not even fully charged. It was at 20%. And so I get home and I set it all up and I plug it into my TV and I set up the Wi-Fi and all that crap that I couldn't do in the car. And I finally start playing it. And so I'm playing it on this TV, and my mom is sitting next to me because she's a little worried. She's like, oh man, I don't know what this Zelda thing is. I don't know if it's going to be something bad. And she's just sitting there, and I'm like, I'm just not knowing what to do. For whatever reason, I get to the point where I get to the old man on the top of the tower, and he's like, all right, now pin all the shrines around here and go to the shrines. And I, for whatever reason, could not figure out how to pin the shrines, so I just got stuck. And so I was really frustrated, and I felt kind of guilty because my mom was kind of guilt-tripping me about buying this. She was like, I don't know about Zelda, man. Just wait for Mario Kart. That's what we know. That's what we're comfortable with. And so the whole time she's like, I don't know. And I'm sitting there like, I'm so mad. I can't figure this out. And so what did I do? I returned Breath of the Wild. I gave up my copy of Breath of the Wild, exchanged it for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and I waited a week and a half to play anything. I didn't have a single game on this console until Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, weeks after I had gotten it. And every single day, I would just pick up the Switch out of the dock. I would go through the settings, go through the menu, go through the eShop. I would look at every single thing this console had, except for a game to play. I was on top of the world because I had it, but I didn't have anything to play on it. And so I couldn't have been more upset with myself thinking, oh man, I finally got this thing, but now I gotta wait for Mario Kart. So this was when I started to make a compromise with myself. Like, hey, you know what? It's fine. Let's not be mad. You finally got the console. You've been working so hard to earn the money and to call all these places and say, hey, do you have this thing? And they're like, no, sorry. And these people probably knew me because I would call the same stores every day. Like, do you have one? And I finally got one, and I waited for Mario Kart. And when it came out, when I tell you I sunk so many hours into Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I did. I'm not sure I've ever had so much hype about a single game in my entire life. I played Mario Kart 8 Deluxe all the way through. I played all of the cups in every single mode from 50cc to 150cc to 200cc, and I would play nonstop against CPUs because I didn't even know what online was at the time, and my parents thought it was weird that you could just play with people you didn't know, so they were like, don't do that. So I just played single player, and I loved Bowser Jr. because he was one of the new characters in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe that they didn't have in the Wii U version. So I would play as Bowser Jr., and I didn't even know that there was a rival system. And so Princess Peach was apparently Bowser Jr.'s rival. And so every single time I would get ready to cross the finish line, Peach would just absolutely snipe me. And I don't know how many people have followed Dashie Games before, but he would play Mario Kart, and his rivalry with Donkey Kong was awesome. And like, that was me with Peach, man. It was legendary. Our battles were crazy. She would always just come across the finish line at the last second, just beating me out, and it was great. And so this whole time, right, I'm still connected into the Nintendo YouTube verse, and I'm seeing people talk about Breath of the Wild, and that regret of returning the game is setting in so hard. I was like, you know what? This game seems like it's amazing, and I just need to convince my mom that it's fine, that there's nothing bad in it, that it will be okay, that I will be okay, that I won't turn into some weirdo. And she was like, we just had so many long talks. I remember I was trying so hard to convince her, and eventually I just kind of wore her down, I think. And she was like, you know what? I trust you. Go ahead, buy it, and if you want it, go ahead, but you got to pay for it yourself, and I will just make sure that you are doing okay. And I was like, yeah, it's fine. It's literally fine. It's not that big of a deal. And she was just super overprotective at the time. So I was waiting to find another copy of Breath of the Wild because for whatever reason, those were sold out everywhere as well. So I went on Amazon and bought it, even though it was like a month or two out, and it didn't arrive until July. But in the meantime, I saved up money to buy ARMS in June, and I played ARMS for over 100 hours. I loved ARMS. I loved everything about it. I played it so much. And by the time I was done with ARMS, finally Breath of the Wild had come in July, and I remember literally sitting outside my house in a lawn chair waiting for this Amazon driver to pull up because it said between like 4 to 7 p.m. And so from 4 to 7 p.m. I sat my butt in that lawn chair and waited for Breath of the Wild. And this car drove up and my parents were like, what are you doing talking with strangers, blah blah blah. And I was like, it's an Amazon driver, come on. So after I had a talk with them, I put in Breath of the Wild and I got back to where I was before, and finally I realized, oh my gosh, all you have to do is click the right stick. Maybe somehow, some way I skipped through the dialogue in the tutorial and just somehow missed it, but I pressed every single button and I didn't know that you could press in the sticks, and that also counted as a button input. So you just press the right analog stick to use your scope and pin all the shrines, and that, you know, it was like mandatory, I thought, so I just really gave up on it, and that was how I returned it. And then I eventually got back, and after I got past that point, it just clicked. I got off the Great Plateau and I realized what it was like to play all these different types of games. I realized Breath of the Wild was my favorite game of all time and still probably is. It holds such a special spot in my heart. I loved the story. I loved the memories. I loved Ganon. I loved Zelda. I loved finding all the divine beasts, all the different areas. I loved everything about it. I played the heck out of it. And of course, by July, it had been June and the June Direct was out. And man, I'll tell you, I was so excited for that Direct. I saw Mario Odyssey, which was obviously my big thing, and it was at the very end, and I didn't know all these other franchises before it, so I was like, man, this isn't Mario, I don't care about any of this. And then I saw Breath of the Wild DLC, and I was like, oh man, I can't wait to get my copy, it's a month out. And then I found Mario Odyssey at the very end of the Direct and was so happy. And then just like the capture mechanic blew my mind, like having a Goomba, a taxi, for whatever reason. The idea of being a taxi and driving around New York was so cool to me, and I was so upset when it turned out that you can't even drive it around, you just actually capture it and it takes you to a different area. I couldn't have been more mad. But I loved the June Direct, I loved all of those games. Later on, I ended up playing pretty much all of them, and then the Mario Odyssey hype began, and I was in this constant cycle of just every single day looking up Mario Odyssey and watching videos about it, watching everyone's reactions and all the reviews that were coming up about it. And I went to a local GameStop to play like a demo of it, and I just remember having so much fun running around. And that was pretty much 2017 for me. After Mario Odyssey, I didn't buy anything else because I didn't know about Xenoblade, I didn't care about Fire Emblem, I didn't know about any of these other things. So then 2018 came, and that mini Direct was amazing. I loved Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze on the Wii U. I loved Mario Tennis growing up, so I was excited to see that. And all of the rest of the years were just baked into history after that. The Switch really gave me my opportunity to get in with all of these Nintendo franchises, and I took full advantage. I could honestly ramble about every single year of the Switch's life and what happened in my life throughout it, but it helped me get through so many tough times, and I really grew to love Nintendo YouTubers and Nintendo so much. And it's amazing how much a company can help somebody get through stuff if it's really fun. And I really do believe that Nintendo tries to give everyone smiles, and every single game they put out is made with the best of intentions, and I love the company for it. I wish with every single ounce of my soul and being that I could have recorded my reactions and thoughts to the initial 2017 presentation, because I would just adore to go back and think, what in the world was I thinking at that time? Because I was a huge Nintendo fan growing up, obviously, and I have gotten into all of these different series through the Nintendo Switch, and back then pretty much all I knew was Mario and Mario Kart, and that was it. Like, I didn't know a whole lot about anything else. I knew this Breath of the Wild, this weird game. Oh, I'd never seen it before, but people were talking about it like it was better than Mario, which is weird, but it got me into so many different series the Nintendo Switch did. And now I can't wonder how many people were just like me right now, waiting for the Nintendo Switch 2. Maybe they had never had a Switch before, never had anything Nintendo related, but they've seen all of the hype on YouTube and on TikTok and whatever apps that kids use these days. I wonder how many people are looking forward to buying their very first Nintendo console or their very first video game console with the Switch 2. How many people have been saving up specifically just for this console and are going to play all of the old Switch games because the Switch 2 is backwards compatible and are excited to play the new generation of games. And now we find ourselves in a really funny position to where in just a few days, we're going to know every single thing about the Switch 2, every single thing about its launch, its price, everything. We're gonna know everything. And there's something unique, something special, something precious about the time before a big reveal like this, a big announcement, a big direct, where you just don't know anything. And the hype is just stewing over stuff you don't even know about. I don't know what's going to happen, but I am incredibly excited. I don't know what games they're going to reveal outside of Mario Kart, if they're going to show us literally anything else besides Mario Kart. And on the contrary, this could very well be a bad direct. I don't think it will be. I think they're going to really pull it off, but this could be a really, really bad direct, and it could just be our first glimpse into another dark age. I mean, the Switch 2 could be like $600, and all the games are $80, and the games are terrible, and they make, it could be bad, and we don't know what's going to happen. But for now, like, this stage of not knowing is so unique. There are so many people across the world right now who are either watching this video or other Nintendo related videos, or just doing everything they can to consume as much Nintendo Switch 2 media as they possibly can, because they're so freaking excited for this new console. And that is just something special. And I want to address the idea of how in the world we have gotten here in the first place, and that is with the Nintendo Switch. And obviously Nintendo was really struggling back then. They had to rush the console out, and I have been on record saying that I totally believe that is why the Joy-Con drift and why a lot of those day one issues happened with the console, is because they just did their best to make sure it worked and just sent it out. They really needed to get the console out as quickly as possible because of how horribly the Wii U had sold, and just how awful they had treated their fan base, and how the games were just not there for the Wii U. And they just kind of expected the fan base from the Wii to carry over, but they didn't know at the time that they had captured the wrong audience. The Wii captured the type of audience that isn't going to keep playing, isn't going to come back for round 2. And the Switch really did captivate actual gamers. People who just wanted to play games on the go, who wanted to play really good games and fun games. Nintendo just went back to basics, and I'm afraid that they might not take that lesson to heart for the Switch 2, but at the same time, I'm confident that they will do really well. I do think that they have learned for the better, for good, that this is the path they need to take, just making really good games, marketing them well, giving us time to absorb the ideas, and just making stuff that we know will be high quality and stuff that is just completely different from the rest of the industry. The Switch 2 presentation could show us so many bad games, but it also could show us so many amazing games. There is a good chance that after this direct, we look at each other and say, guys, I think that was the best Nintendo presentation I have ever witnessed. And that is so exciting. And the fact that we have been waiting for so long for this Switch 2 to be even revealed, all of the hype and the insanity that happened in January, I'll tell you what, it was like the calendar flipped over and we just went insane. January was insane. So many people didn't believe Nate the Hate, who had convinced us that, the 16th was the day it was going to be revealed, and then he ended up being right. But those 16 days prior to its reveal, we were so shook up with hype and anticipation and just wondering when they were going to reveal the dang thing. And all of us really thought that 2024 was going to be the year that the Switch 2 released, and Nintendo just had other plans, and maybe they were delaying it like There are some rumors and reports that say they delayed it to 2025 because they wanted to make sure they had enough stock to really meet demands for day one and not have that artificial scarcity allegations that they have seemed to always have with all their other consoles. Nintendo Switches were impossible to get a hold of back in 2017, and of course the Wii was a big phenomenon that people could not get a hold of then as well. So it just makes sense to me, obviously, that they would want more time to deal with this console, to deal with its bugs, make sure there isn't Joy-Con drift, make sure there aren't any other issues. Because now, if there are issues like that, then I will have major criticisms of the company, because they have had plenty of time, and they have really pushed us to the far edge of the cliff here in terms of how long we've waited for this next console. And a lot of people were talking about the Pro model, right? We thought there was going to be a Switch Pro, and then it ended up being the OLED model in 2021. But then there were rumors, oh, it was always going to be a Pro, but because of COVID and chip shortages, they just decided to wait. But that doesn't make a whole lot of sense either, because now it's been 4 years since people were saying, oh, they're just going to wait because Switch 2's coming soon. And obviously it did not come soon, so that wasn't true at all. But it honestly feels like we had 2017, it was pure bliss. 2018 was great. 2019, we had the light version and people were starting to talk about the Pro. Then we had COVID. Then we had all the Pro rumors that were really swirling around in 21. And instead of that, we got an OLED. And every single year since 2021, we have had stupid Pro rumors and stupid Switch 2 rumors nonstop. They have been nonstop, and it has driven us so crazy. I think we're all ready for the next generation. I think we're all ready for the Switch 2 to finally drop. And right now, I'm sitting here and I know about the console. I know there's going to be Mario Kart. I know the general idea. It's going to be a bit bigger, a bit better, a bit stronger, and we're going to be able to play the new games on it, and it's backwards compatible, and we're going to be able to transfer our online stuff and all our games over to it. I get that. But what I don't get is literally everything else. I don't understand or know anything else, and neither do you if you are watching this before April 2nd, and that is just crazy how time works, how expectations work, how hype works, because I want it to be April 2nd so bad right now, and it's just not. And we just don't know anything about the console. And the fact that it could be a massive success again, which I think it probably will be. I think it'll be somewhere between the 5th and 3rd highest selling console of all time for Nintendo, and maybe they'll continue to catch lightning in a bottle, and this, I mean, maybe it'll just prove to not be lightning in a bottle. It'll probably prove to be here to stay, similar to PlayStation. They just kind of put out new ones every 5 to 8 years, and then boom, you got a new console, and people buy that, and then you play the newest games on it, and boom, we'll get a Switch 3 in 10 years maybe. But man, the Switch generation was so amazing. And the fact that it is over now, I mean, Xenoblade Chronicles X has released, and of course, Metroid Prime 4 will be on the Switch. Maybe it'll also have a Switch 2 version. We know Pokemon ZA will be on the Switch, but it will probably also have a Switch 2 thing, because that's obviously not coming till later in 2025, and I really doubt that with the Switch 2 on the market, they would hype up a Switch-only game. And obviously, we know it's backwards compatible, but they're going to want to make it to where it's Switch 2 as well. They're going to want to put out a version that says Switch 2 for that holiday season to get people interested, to get people buying this console. And we don't know when this thing's going to release either. So many people are convinced that it's in May. I made a whole video discussing why I believe that is not the case. I think there are many reasons against a May release, but probably early June. And you know what? I could be wrong, and it's the last week of May, but the rumors of May 15th specifically just rubbed me the wrong way, and I do not think the 15th is the day. I hope I'm wrong, because then we get it in our hands sooner, but I really don't think that's the case. I think early June is when we get it, but we don't know, and we're going to find out on April 2nd. We're going to find out in a few days. We're going to find out how much it costs. We're going to find out all these things that I said earlier, and that's crazy to me to understand. At this point, 8 years ago, I was in the same position wondering about the Nintendo Switch, and it's been 8 years since then, and I cannot even believe that. It has been that long, and wow, at this point 8 years ago, we had the Switch in our hands for the first couple weeks. And it was a huge success, and everyone was playing Breath of the Wild in March and seeing Korok seeds in real life. It was so funny, such an amazing golden era. And I don't know if we'll ever get to experience something as delightful as that again, but man, if we don't, I just want to say I am so glad that generation happened and that we got to experience this. And if everything comes crashing down from here on out, I'm glad to say I was at least a part of the Switch generation in some way, and moving forward, I'm just excited to make videos about the Switch 2 and everything with that. We will know everything about the Switch 2 in just a couple days, and I know I keep repeating that, but it's such a mind-boggling concept to me that we don't know anything now, and we're going to know everything, and at some point, years down the line, we're going to look back, similarly to how we're looking back now, and say, wow, we didn't know anything right before. We didn't know how awful it was going to be or how amazing it was going to be. We didn't know anything. So I thought it would be really cool if I were to document this moment right now and just give you guys something to watch right beforehand, just make it a little quicker. It's looking like this video is going to be about 25-ish minutes. So hey, once you've made it to the end, I hope you realize you're 25 minutes closer to that April 2nd Direct if you were as giddy as I was back in 2017, waiting for the Switch and waiting to find my copy. So thank you so much for making it to the end of this video and my blab session. I hope you are excited and I hope you enjoy every single thing about the Switch 2 Direct coming up. Make sure to like and subscribe to today's video if you enjoyed, click the notification bell to know exactly when my videos release, and consider joining my membership program to help financially support the channel, support me as a creator, and just get early access to all of my videos, Discord servers, badges, all that fun stuff. Click on the left video to see my predictions for the Switch 2 Direct, I have a lot of them, and click on the right to watch all of my videos about the Switch 2, and it'll get you a little bit closer to that Direct. Thank you once again for making it to the very end of the video. I love you so much. My name is Ray. This has been Ray's Nintendo Talk, and I will see you all in the next video. Have a phenomenal day.